It was encouraging to see the Minister of Finance speaking the same language as the Minerals Energy Minister during the Mining Indaba, where he mentioned that the industry needs to be supported in terms of growth going forward. He mentioned that the government is going to be putting together a strategy to help improve the sector, and also the fact that there were no new taxes really that were introduced specifically for the mining sector. And he also mentioned that the Davis Tax Committee that has been doing the tax reviews for the past 2-3 years is going to be finalizing its work before the budget for the 2016, which means we'll be able to know really whether there will be any new taxes that will be introduced in the mining sector in the future. Another point that was interesting for us was around the mining royalty collections. In the 2014, the mining collections were around 6.4 billion, and the 2015 budget expected that it will go up to 7 billion. But we saw that that was revised down to about 5 billion, simply because the industry experienced stoppages due to strikes in the early part of the year. So this is as a direct result of those strikes. Another point that was interesting is around the diesel rebate. There has been issues around mining companies claiming diesel refund when they conduct their mining operations. The minister announced that they will be revising the legislation and they will delink it from the VAT legislation. So in other words, the legislation is now going to be a standalone, and they're also going to address issues where qualifying mining companies are not able to claim refunds for a number of reasons, including the fact that they use the contractor miners when they conduct their mining operations. And another point that was raised, which is a bit of a confusion from the mining industry, is around the fact that they're going to reduce the diesel refund for the mining sector down to 20%. To try and discourage the use of diesel, or that will impact the open cast mining because they heavily rely on diesel, and I don't think there's an alternative for them rather than just using diesel. So I don't know whether to discourage them they'll provide them with an alternative. At the point that was mentioned also around the personal income taxes, it was mentioned that there's been a nice growth in terms of revenue collections. But if you take that to how it affects the mining industry, it means the growth was as a result of the wage settlements that were realized in the financial year, which means the sector experienced the growth in the employment cost, whereas the production had gone down. So that's got a negative impact in the mining sector, whereas it's got a positive impact on the government when you look at the tax revenues.